Hello students, today we will be discussing one new chapter under business studies, that is international business. This is class 11, your chapter 11, that is international business. First of all, before starting this discussion, what does that international business means? That is, international business refers to business activities beyond the boundary of your own country. Suppose X country, your own country. If you do business with the Y country, that is between X and Y, that is the international business. To go in detail of these things, what does that international business means? You see that manufacturing and trading activities beyond the boundaries of one's own country is known as international trade. Again we are repeating, manufacturing and trade beyond the boundaries of one's own country is known as international business or external business. You see that we know our home country or own country business. You are seeing your here any shop establishment, wherever you are going to purchase or something, you can see the people there, one is buyer, one is seller. But in case of international business, sometimes you may not be knowing the seller or buyer in the other country. All depends upon through your documents or other modes, transactions, documentary. Basically, international trades will depend on the documentary evidences basis, process basis. That will be going in subsequent stages. Now, why we are to go for international business? Reasons behind international business. You see, you are happy with your own country. Whatever products you are producing, you are selling that thing. That is all right. You know that international business will be little complex than your own business. That will be going one by one. Then now question comes, why leaving your own country you have to make business to the other country? Now you see that communication, development and relations among the countries favors to make business among the countries. Now we will be discussing one by one what are the reasons for these things. You see that all countries are not in favorable condition to produce the same product. You see that countries cannot produce equally well, cheaply, they need. Suppose we need so many things for our livelihood. One single country cannot produce all their products cheaply. So that is the reason. Unequal distribution of natural resources. See, all countries do not have their natural resources. Suppose X country, we are having some natural resources, but Y country do not have. Availability of factors of production, that is labor, capital and raw material, that may not be equal for all the countries. Labor productivity and production costs differ. That is the thing. You see, ultimately reason behind international business, you are to produce and sell locally which you are comfortable. That means your international trade will not suitable to you. That means your home country is favorable for those products. You see that ultimately you are the costless product you are to produce, and those products, those resources are not available with you, or alternatively, if you bring the raw material and produce in your country, you will not be more cost effective. You see that this product, if you produce in your home country, if it is rupees 10 rupees, if you bring from outside country, if it is 8 rupees, that means that other country is cost advantageous position. So ultimately, when you do have that opportunity to take the benefit of international trade, that is least cost factor and product satisfaction, then why not? Some problem will be there. We will be discussing in our subsequent point of discussions. Now we will be going one by one these stages for international business, all these reasons and benefits for why they are going for that. You see that benefits of international trade. See that one particular country is in better position for quality product at lower costs. As you have been discussing, no? Suppose one particular country is producing quality products at better cost. Definitely the other country which is not in advantageous positions, he can import those materials. So ultimately you are the least cost and quality concept. That is the better. Because as you have been discussing, no, all countries are not favorable for the resources. That may be your labor, that may be your production process, machineries, trained manpower, financial resources, all those things. So wherever you will be the cost advantage will be there, you can bring those material to your country. Second point, you can produce those products in your home country which will be cheap. You see that if you are in cost advantageous position, taking into considerations of your resources, labor, material, etc., you can produce that. Those materials you need not import for this thing. And number 3, procure rest of the products from outside country. So cost benefit analysis here very important. To take an example or diagram, we can show you which products you can purchase or import or produce your own country. Suppose country X, country Y, right? Here their product PQR are the products. Here M, N and L are the products, right? So when this X country, they are in cost advantageous position, they need not import those products, and this X country, they are the cost advantageous positions for PQR. You understand that? Then which situation that international trade would take place? That means country X will import those products, that is MNL products, country X is not in cost advantageous position, then country X will import those products which are not favorable or least cost in their own state. Similarly, country Y will import all these PQR items which is not cost advantageous in their own country, that they can import. So this is the systems. You understand that ultimately both country will be beneficial. If you see that for your own sentiment and satisfaction, if you at higher cost produce your own country, what will the benefit? To take that advantageous position, PQR, MNL, all the products both the countries can utilize. Those which are advantages in those situations, they can produce that product, and rest of the products they can take from outside. So in these cases, if you see that among the countries, if they can redistribute their resources accordingly, then all the countries within the group, they will be beneficial for this purpose. You understand that? So these are the concept of your international business part purpose. Now we will be going for little other areas of our discussion, that is, what does we mean that international business? We have explained international trade and international business both differs. Generally we talk about international trade. One country import, another country export all goods. Now international business, when we talk about trade only goods and services, but business, if you talk about some broader perspective and some comprehensive concept other than your goods and services, other operations such as production, marketings of goods and services in foreign countries, you see that trade among the countries will not only restrict only your goods and services. This production and procurement process, that marketing process, so many other operations involved. Those are productions and marketings of goods and services. So these allied services also covers under your international business, which doesn't cover under international trade. In nutshell, we can tell that international trade is a micro concept and international business is the macro concept. That means international business covers your international trade, but international trade doesn't cover the international business. So now we will be going one by one why these people will go for international business. You see that briefly we can discuss about here that international versus domestic business. Conducting and managing international business operation is more complex than undertaking domestic business, definitely. You see, in your home country, you know your people, you know their culture, you know their taste, all those things. So it will be little bit easier in your home trade rather than your international business. Nationality of parties involved, that we will be discussing in detail. What does that nationality of parties mean? Less mobility in the factors of production, that also we will be discussing. Variations in the business practices, that also will be there. and your political system, your varied business regulations, different currencies. Currencies also very important. So those points will be going one by one in our detailed discussion on those issues. You see that this is a very practical angle you have to think in your business studies. You cannot just like a story type, you need not do these things. You have to understand in depth all these issues, then only it will not be problem. See, domestic and international business differs from each other. You know that? Number one, what are the differences? Nationality of buyers and sellers. See, we are discussing the difference between national trade and international trade. First, we have discussed what is international trade, what are the benefits of international trade. Now, we will be discussing what are the differences between, because you want to do the international business, okay, but there are some consequences also between national trade and international trade that you have to understand very clearly. Nationality of buyers and sellers. You see, if it is in the same country, buyers and sellers, domestic trade, market will be easier. Because both buyers and sellers are from the same country, they know each other, they know their tastes, so that your nationality of the buyers and sellers is favorable in your domestic market or domestic trade than your international trade. That is the point for that. Number two, we will be discussing buyers and sellers are from different countries in case of international trade or business. So buyers and sellers are from different countries. So if they are from different countries, they do have their difference in languages, attitudes, social customs, and business goals. Stakeholders policy, belong to different nations. Who are the stakeholders? Labor, then your raw material, then your partners, government, all those things, they are the stakeholders, and public at large. So they are the stakeholders. So in such situation, what will happen? Buyers and sellers are from different countries in your international business. They do have their different language, different goals, different social customs. Stakeholder policy belongs to different in the different nations, labor, partner, government, public at large. So these will be different in case of your international trade. Then now we will be going for some other points also. You have to understand all those things because business to easy. Number 3, that point will be number 2. It will be your nationality of other stakeholders. What are those things? Employees, suppliers, shareholders, partners, general public. These are easy in domestic trade because in your own country you know the nature of your own employees, own suppliers nature you know about the shareholders, you know your partners, general public tastes, concept, understanding, behavior, it is little bit known to you, but those are not so easily in case of your domestic trade, international trade rather. Now next point we will be going for this thing, that is mobility of the factors of productions. See, what does that thing? Degree of mobility, like labor and capital, is generally less in other countries which are not there in domestic country. You see that degree of mobility like labor, capital, etc. mobility is generally less in other countries. So mobility of this labor and capital in your own country, it will be little bit easier to handle those things in comparison to your outside states. So that is one point for that. So now we will be going for some other points also, that is there your customer heterogeneity, across markets. International trade, customers differ from their socio-cultural background, different in taste, fashion, languages, belief, custom, attitude, etc. See, this is also very customers heterogeneity across the market. If you go international trade, customers differ from their socio within your own country. You know about your culture. Even if you within India, if you in eastern part, you know the southern part, northern part or western part, what is their culture and background, what is the difference in taste, fashion, language, belief, etc. So why all these things? You have to take into consideration all those things before going to start for your international trade or business. All these points you have to take into consideration, because outside the border or outside the state all these differences will be there. Now we will be going for that number 5 point, difference in business system and practices. This is very vital. See, what does these things? Business system and practices, rules and regulation, you know your own country. What is their government structure is there? What is your that economic policy of your country? You know these things. What is your tax structure? You know everything you know. But those things are not clear to you in case of international business. Difference in business system and practices considerably much more among countries than within country. You see that business system and practices, other countries, that systems and practices are not known to you. So that also you have to take into consideration and study for that country before being starting your operation. Now important another point is there, political system and risk. You see that country, outside country, government, political parties, party system, political risks, political dealings, have a profound impact on business. You see, every country they have their own political system. Ultimately any government comes, but that is backed by some political parties also. You know your own country, your structure, people, sentiments, all those things. But that political party system, political risk, political dealings, all will be different in case of international trade that is outside your country. So in such situation, these factors also you have to take into consideration before being starting for any business or transactions with this party, with those country. Now next point is your business regulations and policies. See, this is also important. Each country evolves its own set of business laws and regulations. economic policies, tax structure, etc. You see that in case of international trade, these things are also very vital, because business regulations and policies also very vital, because you do not know their government, you do not know their industrial policy, you know their practices also. Each country holds their own set of business laws, you know their rules and regulations, because business is backed by some rules and regulations and laws also, regulations also, their economic policies also, tax structure also, that is also tax structure also very vital for this thing. So all those things taken into consideration, you have to see these things, because if you have to take input for this thing, suppose basic production cost may be less, if their tax is more, then ultimately what will happen, your these things entire cost will be more for that thing. So you have to take into considerations all those things. So today we have whatever point we have discussed, what is international business, what is the difference between international trade and business with your local businesses, why people should go for international business, what are the differences among the certain points between one country to another. That means you have to understand all those things very carefully and before start your business, because we are talking about these things, least cost benefit analysis, all those things, this okay, fine, but when you are procuring from your local market, or when you are procuring from your outside country, outside the border of your own country, it differs. So those things you have to take into considerations. If you think that after doing all these exercises, if it is beneficial, then only you can go for your international business. That means either you export or import the productions for these cases. So these are the things you have to take into considerations for this thing. So this international business will take 1 or 2 more lectures. Today is the class 1, because subsequent stages we have to discuss some other in-depth technique and practically what are the documentations you have to make it. So those we will be discussing my subsequent video lectures. So if you think that my lecture has some material, please do subscribe to my channel, so that whenever a new video will come, will be coming to you, and I will be motivated to bring more some videos before you. We are concluding the video here. Have a good day.